Welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're going to go through the fixed asset card in detail. So let's search for fixed assets. So I've got the fixed asset list, and I'm going to open up this vehicle. So I just want to run through the card in its entirety. So the first thing is we've got the number. So that's the number that's assigned to the asset itself. That can come through a number series or could be manually entered if we set it up to do that. We've then got the description. So that's the description of the asset. That automatically copies into the search description. So if we're looking for it, we could put in a different search description if we wanted to allow the system to search off a different value. We've then got the FA class code. So that is the type of asset. We've then got the FA subclass code. So that's the further breakdown of that. So what type of asset is it within that class? We've then got the FA location code. This isn't required, but we can assign assets to locations. These locations are fixed asset locations. They're not linked to the normal locations within Business Central. So if I search for location, you'll see that we get locations and FA locations. So they are separate, okay? There's no functionality behind the FA locations, but it just allows us to put assets into a location, and we can use that in the report. So when we look at the book value report, we can group asset by location. So it might be that we've got sometimes we might want to look at all of our vehicles together. We might want to look at all of our plants together, but then we might also want to look at the specific locations as well. So we might say, what are the total assets? This location, and so on and so forth, okay? We've got whether or not this is a budgeted asset. So we can create budgeted assets within Business Central, and I'll cover that in another video. We can then enter the serial number if we need to track that, okay? And then we've also got this main asset component and component of main asset, okay? So what we can do in Business Central is we can link assets together. So we can have a main asset and then it can have components within it. So if I come back up to the list view, we have got an example of that in Kronos. We've got a conveyor and they've said that it's a main asset to help us find it. So if I come into here, you can see that this is our main asset, okay? And it's a component of itself. So if I then go into main asset components here, I can see that we've got a conveyor belt, we've got a conveyor computer, and we can also add in this lift. Okay, so those are now components of that main asset. Okay, you'll notice on the main asset we haven't got any book value, we haven't got any depreciation, so it's just a way of us creating like a top level for a group of assets and then linking them all together. Okay, you can within the fixed asset setup, let's just run into there, we can allow posting to main assets. That might be that we have the main asset is a machine and then we've got several components that go onto it, so we could then allow us to actually acquire the machine as a main asset, and then we could then put the components onto it as well. Okay, so we can just choose whether or not we're allowed to do that in our system. Okay, so I've come back up to the fixed asset card. And then if we go and have a look at one of those components, so we have the conveyor belt, you can see that that is a component of fixed asset 40, which was the main asset. And you can see here that it's a component. Okay. Just jump back into the vehicle for now. So we've also got a responsible employee. So if I drop down into there, we'll see that we can select an employee who is responsible for this asset if we want to track that as well. It's quite useful, obviously, if you've got people where you've got levers, you can then track which assets that they've got. If I clicked on select from full list there, so this is actual employees, okay? So it is linked to the employee table. So we can select an employee there if we want to. We can then track if this asset is inactive. So that doesn't provide any functionality, just allows us to filter on assets. So we can make it inactive. We can block the fixed asset. If we do that, then we can't transact on it at all. We've then got an acquired flag. That isn't editable, so that only gets ticked automatically when acquisition cost is acquired to the asset. Okay, and then we can also see the last date modified. Down here we've got a depreciation book setting, so this start date, number of years, and ending date. Got the current book value. That is a hyperlink, so click on that. It will take me to the fixed asset ledger entries. In this one, we can see that we acquired it, we depreciate it, we then sold it, so we've got some proceeds. And the gain and loss calculated on there. So that asset is actually disposed of. Underneath there, we've got the maintenance section. So in there, we can specify the vendor that normally maintains this asset. So, and we've then got a maintenance vendor number as well. Okay, so we can select those. We can then track if the asset is under maintenance. Again, that doesn't provide any functionality similar to the inactive flag. What it does though, it allows to filter on our assets. So if we wanted to track which assets were currently under maintenance, we could tick that box and then we could filter the fixed asset list view on which ones were under maintenance. And what we could do then, for example, is if we put a filter view on here. So if we did maintenance, so if we got under maintenance, probably helpful if that one. So if we added on under maintenance, you got yes or no. So if we said yes, they're all going to disappear. And then we could save that view to say that it's so we could quickly flip to our assets that are under or not under maintenance. Okay, jumping back into the vehicle again. So we then got the next service date. Again, no functionality off that, but we can just track that data, and also any warranty date. Then got insured field down here, and again that is hyperlinked, so that is then looking at any insurance ledger entries, which I'll cover in detail in another video. Over in the Factbox, we can add a picture, and we can also add on attachments, so we can put in documents and notes as we can with most documents in the system. Fixed asset picture could be quite useful if we're going to go and audit which assets we've got in the business, so it might help to find them. And that is pretty much the fixed asset card. We've obviously got dimensions, as we have with most of our master data. We can link through and look at the dimensions for that asset. We've got statistics. So again, we can just get an overview of the transactions that are going on with that asset. And we're going to come back to have a look in further training sort of around maintenance and insurance. So I hope to cover that in a future video soon. Hope you found that useful. Please give the video a like and consider subscribing to the channel for more practical Business Central tutorials. If you've got any questions on the fixed asset card, please drop them in the comments section. Or if you've got anything else that you'd like me to cover next, just let me know. Thanks for watching, and always have a great day.